You're tuned into Afters, the podcast where we will dive deep into the creative minds of some of my favorite artists and friends. I'm Anthony Cuellar, your host, and I'm excited to share in-depth conversations and a closer look at the artists shaping our cultural landscape in New York and beyond. Today, we're shining a light on no other than Sterling Juan Diaz, a Dominican native New Yorker through and through. We've been hitting the party scene alongside each other for what feels like forever, but today, we're going to go beyond the dance floor to delve deeper into Sterling's world. This weekend holds even more excitement for Sterling as he hosts his fourth party, Simpulso, at Bossa Nova Civic Club, followed by an explosive back-to-back set with Sakuchi at Wire Festival. Let's jump right in. Hey Sterling, how's it going?
What's up? I'm doing good.
Happy Dominican Independence Day.
Thank you very much. Enjoying it.
How do you normally celebrate?
So I don't celebrate it that much these days. But you know, I mean, it kind of actually just dawned on me on the way here that it was happening today. I kind of don't even know what day it is these days. But listening to shit, just thinking about the times I've spent out there. I freaking love it there a bunch. So that's kind of how I celebrate. It's weird because Dominican Independence Day is in February, where it's like the opposite of what the Dominican Republic is here in New York. It's freezing cold or whatever. So I more kind of celebrate, for lack of a better word, the Dominican Republic during the parades in the summer more than the Independence Day, I would say.
So, yeah, because there's one in the summer, right? There's a
Yeah. So the Dominican Day Parade is usually like August, I think. Last year, there was like an after party at Paragon about it, and I played that.
And you played the brewery in the Bronx, right? Didn't you? Was that?
Well, the Bronx Brewery thing was like kind of a pride thing. And my friend was like having a beer launch up there. Amazing artist, Rocio. Also like the first person that ever booked me to DJ, a good friend from like middle school. Did a thing there, and that was during Pride.
That must have been cool to have that, like where you grew up. Well, you grew up in Washington Heights, right?
Yeah. So I grew up from when I was like about maybe 6, grade school stuff. I grew up here in Washington Heights, and then in the Bronx for a while, and then kind of went to college upstate.
Oh, we're upstate too?
Not that upstate, like
here's Westchester.
Westchester. Yeah, I went to school in New Rochelle, Iona College.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in Hudson Valley, so when people say upstate, I'm always like, where?
Binghamton, right?
No, I grew up in New Paltz, Hudson Valley.
New Paltz, but you went to Binghamton, remember?
No.
Okay.
I went to Pace University.
We've talked about where you went to school and how it's in New York, and cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good. And we're not plugging, I mean, higher education is great, but save your money.
Trust me, I haven't paid $1 back, and I won't. You can't make me.
I mean, loan forgiveness, we're waiting for it.
Lies told on Twitter.
Right. So, yeah, you said that, so you were born in New York, you mentioned earlier, and you kind of like grew up in Dominican Republic. Is that, what was that?
Yeah, no, so born here, single mom, kind of was raised by my grandma in the Dominican Republic for the most part of my young childhood. I was there for about 5-6 years and would, come visit often, but for the most part grew up there and then did grade school here. So yeah, I moved here for like first, second grade and had to like learn English and become an American. So yeah, for the most part, grew up early childhood, Dominican Republic, regular childhood in New York, and kind of been here ever since. Like had a little like 5-month stint in the Midwest and like missed it and came back right away. And I think this is just where I'm gonna be.
Yeah, it's hard to leave New York.
You don't think that until like you're somewhere else and you're like, this kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's like a big thing with me. I feel like every time I like travel somewhere, and I love traveling, love wherever I'm at, but also love just getting back home here. This fucking city, it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's funny because I've talked about this with my parents, and like, so my family's from El Salvador, and they moved here in like the 80s. And my dad actually got a job upstate in like a kitchen. It's kind of like what he did. I'm just like, why the fuck did you guys? It's so cold here. Like, why are you here?
Why y'all choose this? I think about that with Dominicans all the time because I'm like, bro, we're supposed to be on an island right now. What are we?
Not the island of Manhattan.
Doing not the island of Manhattan. Oh my gosh, the meme that's like I'm an island girl from Manhattan. It's like a white lady. It's hilarious.
Okay, so you grew up in New York. What was that like? What was it? I mean, because you were here in your formative years, right?
Yeah. No, so I feel super blessed to have grown up here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of my childhood was just like being given like a lot of freedom to do kind of whatever, whenever I wanted and kind of explore so many things since a young age. So I, went to high school in Midtown and like was exposed.
You weren't like just uptown only. You were all over the city.
Like when I was younger and I couldn't like take the train by myself. I was uptown mostly, but then as soon as I got to high school, it was really cool because you got your Metro card and you can go anywhere basically, like cut class and literally do anything. And it's just funny because like New York's such a melting pot of people and like classes and like kinds of lifestyles that you are just exposed to so many different kinds of ways of living. So it was I always feel really lucky about getting to go to class with like people that are rich and then people that are like poor as well, and like having to like kind of go through the public school system together and figure out like how to become a functioning person in the world together is something that I think is really valuable. It kind of gives you perspective about like the different ways people come into being themselves and like becoming whatever it means to be an adult or like a functioning person in society.
No, totally. Yeah. I mean, I didn't grow up in New York City. I grew up upstate, but it's just fascinating always. I feel like people that were born and raised here, grew up here, like just have just a worldly knowledge just because of what you said, like the melting pot.
Yeah, I mean, like I have like such a deep love for like so many freaking different walks of life, cultures, because it's just something that I'm like around and have been around all the time. It's like a deep respect. Like it's kind of like freaking am obsessed with Jamaican food because there was a Jamaican spot by my place growing up, and then like you can get European food, all that stuff, and like food's everywhere. The music, you hear music from all parts of the world out blasting on the street. And it kind of makes you appreciate culture, but like also cultures that aren't yours and cultures that are from other places, and it makes you kind of value that. And it's kind of sad when that's not valued and kind of just you kind of also see like the commonalities of like the major shared cultures. Literally, I was just thinking about this the other day. I have a good friend, Mohammed, who is Lebanese, and a lot of Arabic and like Lebanese culture has so many similarities with like Dominicanness. A lot of the words that are like Spanish, but like not Spain Spanish, like more like slang Dominican words have a lot of like Arabic influences, and so cool to me. I don't know.
Yeah, no,
the commonalities there.
So so you grew up in New York, of course. You were around music. What was it like growing up in your home? Was there music played all the time? Like, did you have DJs in the family?
Absolutely, no DJs in the family. I think my grandpa was like a musician. But music definitely everywhere all the time. My dad was obsessed with music. I didn't grow up living with him, but I would like visit often. He lived in the Bronx with my sisters and brothers. But at home, music on all the time. Doesn't matter what's happening. It could be Tuesday afternoon. It could be Sunday morning while you're trying to sleep. Music on, blast all the time, especially when it's time to clean the house. And yeah, I know music was a huge part of my life growing up. At the beginning, mostly Dominican music because it was like what's around and on in my house. But then just living in New York, it's like, hip hop, rap, and like how that kind of like took over the zeitgeist of my life. And then, I become a teenager and I'm like, I get the internet and I'm like, wait, I can like get into cool other shit too. And get into hardcore music and like emo stuff, and we were talking about like the blog house era and like getting into like electro and like random other music that I figure out on the internet. And like it's cool to like know artists that nobody knows about, and like that's fab. And I kind of learning to appreciate that as well. And then I kind of end up finding that I've kind of gathered this love for all this kind of different stuff, and it just ends up being that I just like love music in general as like an art form. And that's kind of what I think got me to DJing. It's just like a love in general for like what music can do to you, and like what it can do to the space we're in and the people you were with. It's like one of my favorite things about music, for sure.
Did you make like mixtapes for people? Or
did I make mixtapes for people? So I can tell you about how like I started DJing. So she loves to party. I would always have like social gatherings with friends, whatever, house parties, whatever it is. And I was just the designated aux guy for
That's quite an honor to have.
Yeah, I mean, I did pride myself in having like an iPod video, 1 terabyte with like 20,000 songs in it.
Screen, right?
Yeah. I was just like the guy. So always the designated aux guy, would have like whatever kind of vibe we wanted, whatever was going on.
Did you like try to make people fans of like your favorite artists, or like went with like
one of my favorite things is sharing music and like sharing stuff that I think is cool, and then sharing it with a friend, and then being like, yo, this is dope. And that's like, not I get off on that shit, but I get off on that shit.
Does it kind of feel like that when you're DJing, sort of like that?
Yeah. I just love sharing like other people's like creative process and like something they're like super proud of, and then like I think is also dope, and then it also hitting for other people is a really cool aspect of like why I love fucking music, for sure. Sorry, what was the question? Did I make mixtapes for people?
I was just saying, like, did you make mixtapes and burn CDs or whatever? Like?
Oh yeah, no, I would absolutely like do a lot of playlisting, and I still do. It's like kind of one of my favorite things to do. I was really dedicated to having my favorite music on whatever social media website I was using at the time, be it MySpace, be it Tumblr, be it whatever.
You had MySpace?
I was big into MySpace. That's where I learned HTML. It's where I learned.
I wish we could like see our old pages, like. Cause
I tried going back in there recently. It's like a mess to get into, but like, yeah, I was thinking about like when I had Photo Bucket and all like that stuff, and like what I would do to like make my website my little blog or whatever it is look cool, and then put the coolest song I ever heard on, and like maybe it's Lana Del Rey one day, maybe it's like a rock song the other day or whatever. And
a lot of people learn to code that way.
Literally what I'm saying, I'm like, cool, I have a vast knowledge of HTML, and it's literally because I wanted to delete my top 8 or whatever it was from my MySpace. And like, I was super into that for a while. Like I used to spend hours on the internet, and that's kind of how I, discovered a lot of music. It was just literally being online when the internet was like this cool, novel thing, where, you could literally just get into anything, and it was dope.
Yeah, you mentioned blogs. I have like a vested interest because I was a blogger.
Yes, of course. I love that.
What was that like for the people, for the kids that weren't here for it? How would you describe like that era? Yeah, no.
So we were talking about like the Hype Machine and like the blog era. That was huge for me. One, because you'd be able to get so many like free downloads of music on either the Hype Machine or either of the blogs that like it was connected to. So that was the main reason I would like be on it, and it'd be like, oh, cool, like whatever this song is, but it's free and I can download it and I can put it on my iPod. That's what kind of got me into it, and then it just opened me up to like so many cool artists. It didn't matter if like a song was popular or if an artist was an indie artist, but you can, get into all this new stuff, and you can keep it and like use it and like have it. I love that, and it kind of opened me up to like being into like new areas of like art that I hadn't explored yet. Because like, I mean, everything that was on the radio here, everybody heard around the country, but of course New York more hip hop focused. But I mean, like outside of what popular music was, and just like my first like kind of soiree into like independent artists, and like you know, creativity that's like not bound to record labels and marketing schemes, you know.
Yeah.
So that got me into weird shit and got me into going to shows, got me into going to like parties with weird music. I don't know if we talked about it, like ghetto gothic and like
Right.
you know, parties like
that was on my
that, early
list of things to talk
2000s,
about.
yeah, stuff like that. Just like things where that wasn't the mainstream. Blogs helped with that a lot.
So we talked a little bit about like the scene in New York and
Yeah.
like you going to shows and everything. Do you remember like what your first club or party like or gig or show or anything like? What was that world like? 'Cause it's like a whole new world. When you finally
So I can talk about a couple old parties. But yeah, early 2010s, you know, late teen.
Did you have a fake ID?
Kinda, we would chalk our IDs like you can like kind of fake the last number on your thing and like make it fake. It would work some places. Other places just kind of didn't care about that. And I would
Scan
just get
everything
it.
now, though.
They scan everything now. It's over for fake IDs. Oh my god. When I was in college, I got a fake ID on reallygoodfakes.com.
Oh wow.
And it worked for like a year. But yes, I would go out. One of those early parties that I would go to for sure was definitely Ghetto Gothic. It was one of the first times I went to a party that was like cool and queer and weird, but like also fab.
Do you remember like where that was? Because I used to go to some of those.
I don't know where the first one I ever went to was, but I will say one that I remember really fondly was at what's it called? Brooklyn Bazaar.
I think it was
in Greenpoint. Greenpoint
with the carpeting.
Yes, with the carpeting. Yeah. I
think I was at because they didn't have it there regularly, but
they didn't have it there regularly.
Yeah.
And it definitely wasn't the first one I ever went to, but like that was one that was like, yo, this shit is fab. That one.
So it's cross genre.
Super cross genre.
It's so cool. Like,
I think the early LSDX also played that night, but also like Tommy Wright III, like playing like fucking music from the South. It was super dope, and the FKA Total Freedom all over the place, and of course Venus X, who's like one of the reasons that I even considered like getting into DJing, because I'm like, wait, cool, she's like Dominican brown and like queer and like
so cool, like
and it's
her
like
aesthetic,
cool that you can just like be like New York or whatever, and like also into this weird other shit, and it's fab and people dig it, and it's cool that you do that. So yeah, super shout out to her.
Yeah, I remember they had it a couple times. I know I went to at least one that was like near Pumps, like under the BQE. There was this weird like warehouse space on a corner.
Yeah, iconic.
Yeah.
Then again, like Brooklyn, I almost used to barely come out here at the time. I mean, I was like a kid, and like living in the Bronx, it's like giving $70 Uber home every time. So I did miss, in those early days, did miss a lot of parties in Brooklyn just because I had to get back home.
Right.
But I would go out a lot in Manhattan in those days, and a big party that kind of was formative for me was Holy Mountain, when it used to be at Slake. Yeah, Lady Fag's Holy Mountain. I saw early Cardi B there. I saw Cupcake there. Saw so much stuff. It's early Juliana Huxtable, when she would play the Ruby Room with Anthony DiCaprio, was some of my like favorite DJs, and like kind of the reason I do this stuff for sure. Those were like one of the main things that kind of like made me come into myself as a person, also let me get into what creativity could look like, what being an artist could look like, and what having friends that are interested in the same stuff looks like, and what it felt to be like, free and stuff, and then all that.
So we talked about Brooklyn before, and just you coming from uptown and exploring like the downtown scene. Do you remember like the first time you were in Bushwick? Like, because that's pretty much the center of a lot of our scene right now. Like, do you remember?
Yep.
Just like myself, it changed so much.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like, I can tell you about the first time I ever went to Boston Over Civic Club and I was like, what the hell is this place?
Shout out to Boston.
Yes,
Do you
absolutely.
remember like what year it was?
Yeah. So I don't remember the year. I do remember I was just going with Marcos, who actually I met at Gothic. Shout out Marcos, FK False Witness, going by Junior M now. That was the first time I ever was there, and I was like, yo, what? Like, it's the middle of the week. Like, they're
Every
bumping
night.
techno like this crazy. And can't tell you what year that was, but, like, the fact that it's still around, it's, like, one of my favorite places. And, like, one of the reasons I was like, yo, this DJing stuff's kind of cool. And, like, this kind of bumping ass music is a vibe. Actually, Marcus was one of the first people that I was like, yo, like, okay, cool. So, like, if I want to get into this DJing stuff, like, what do I do? Like, what do I download? And he, like, recommended me some stuff. And this is, like, actually the first time I'm thinking about this, but kind of was one of the reasons I kind of got into it. And it's super
Was
dope.
he a DJ mother? Or
Love you, Marco, but I don't think you're my DJ mom.
do you have like
Do I
someone
have a
that
DJ
you
mom?
trained
Do I
with,
have a person that taught me? I'm pretty self-taught, I will say. I, like, again, love the internet and dive into things super deeply. Like, so, you know, I figured, like, yo, I want to do this, especially because, first off, first party I DJ'd friends' birthday parties, and I was super embarrassed because I did it off my phone on some, like, random app, and I was like, no, I need to learn how to use.
Was that the app where it had like two like CDJs?
It's like, I forget what it's called, but yes, it was, but it would, like, do it for you. And
That's so funny.
yeah, I was like, okay, I need to learn how to use Dex because, like, I look crazy out here. So I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I just, like, super dive deep into kind of teaching myself, and that was like what, in 2016, 17. Just kind of, like, did it a lot on my own, and just kind of just got obsessed with it. Like, I would watch YouTube tutorials on
That's how you do it.
beat matching what beat matching is, how music is structured. And, like, I didn't go to school for music. I went to school for freaking business and mass communication and race, gender, and ethnicity.
Wow.
In media. But you know, it was just, I was like, okay, can never make money off that, but, like, still wanted to learn the craft of DJing, and then fell in love with the craft, and then, like, the history behind it, and then, like, the equipment and the technology around it. And it was like super dived deep into it, and I still am learning. I feel like I learned something new about, like, how to become a better DJ every day. And that's, like, the best part about it is that, like, kind of, like, the longer you do it, the more it becomes, like, this muscle you train and, like, its own thing.
That's cool. Did you give yourself like, I'm not gonna play any gigs until I learn this thing, or did you just throw yourself into it, like your first gig?
I'm trying to think what my first gig officially was, and I having a hard time kind of figuring out what that was because a lot of it was, like, maybe I'll say, like, my friend Brianna had a house party, but she had decks, and she was like, play. Maybe that was my first gig, but I had already kind of, like, figured out decks, and I had already kind of had, like, my own little controller set up at home. I would say maybe, like, an early Poppy Juice I played probably was, like, one of my first sets, and I was, like, nervous for it, and, you know, it just became something that kind of kept coming to me in a way, but, like, on the low, like, not in a kind of, like, searching for a way. I've always DJ'd as, like, not a hobby, but, like, a passion and, like, an art that I love doing. And we kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I'm, like, not looking to be a superstar DJ touring
Tiesto,
Europe. I'm not giving Tiesto. I'm not giving Governor's Ball. I'm not giving EDC.
Wait, but what if they did ask?
I mean, but if they hit me up, and, like,
That
my
would be
email
funny.
is open and my bank account will take it.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, like, like, I'm not. For a long time, like, a lot of it was just doing it because I freaking love doing it, and I, like, love going out. I love being part of, like, what's going on as well. So
I kind of now want to see you on one of those festival lineups.
Festivals, please hit me up. Like, I am down. Like, would love to do that stuff. I feel like I do a great job. But yeah, at the time, I was just doing it for fun, and, like, now, you know, I'm kind of getting booked for kind of big stuff, and, like, it's, like, kind of progressing in a way that's kind of really cool to see. It's kind of becoming more of a, a thing I do,
Yeah.
which is super interesting because like I thought I was just gonna be working in advertising the whole time, which I still kind of am, but like.
Well, speaking of bigger things,
She,
let's talk about it. How was it opening up for Beyonce?
yeah, so that was the craziest day of my life. Yeah, so I'm super, 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 super blessed to have been able to open for Beyonce last summer with my sister, Sakuchi.
Sakuchi.
It came about in such a super dope way. I mean, the people that are working on that tour just knew exactly what to do the right way, kind of booking so many people that I admire from the scene to open. It's just like wild to be given the opportunity of literally a lifetime to fucking play for my idol. And kind of be on this super grand stage doing this thing and being appreciated for like this art that you do that kind of influences Beyonce, but also your influence. But like as a person that's influenced by her as well, it was freaking crazy. And then,
and such a big production, so large scale.
Huge! I was like, yo, there's 80,000 people here. Like I've never even seen it. I've never, like if I play a room in Bushwick, Brooklyn, whatever, it's like 200, 300 folks. I've never been around that many people. I don't even think I could fathom that. I still can't fathom it. It was literally the craziest day of my life. And then, being able to experience that, something I'm like super, super, super grateful for. And then doing it with a friend was also super awesome. And just like being appreciated for something I, like love doing. Because, a lot of times you'll get booked for a gig and it's like, okay, I'm doing like this thing. And I have to like, well, especially with me, like I like will like mold to whatever I got to do my sound wise. So like if I'm doing like, I don't know, like a random corporate gig or something, I'll like do that versus, anything that I would like mix personally for myself. Like for a mix that I'll throw out for myself. But yeah, it was super awesome to be appreciated, seen, feel seen by literally one of my the greatest performer ever in the world. And being able to be a small part of like what was like such a big thing in our culture and like such a super dope kind of moment. And yeah, it was in New York, which is also the best. Like,
Technically New Jersey.
Technically New Jersey, but I mean, we don't have a freaking 80,000 person stadium here. So I'll take it as that was the New York date. I don't care. But yeah, being able to run a city, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It was also really exciting. I mean, I'm a huge concert goer. I've been going to big shows for years.
Yep.
It was exciting to see the lineup because you didn't really know who was going to play. It'd just be like, oh my God, I've seen this person. At
Babe, I didn't know till a week ago. The week before. It was, and that's a whole nother story. But yeah, I didn't know till a week before.
It was really exciting. It made me feel like I'm so glad that they have this platform. It was really beautiful to see.
Yeah, so dope.
And that was right after Hancho last year, right?
That's right. Yes.
Which was also incredible.
Also, that was okay. Yeah. Okay. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, Saran, you had a good big year." I'm like, "Yeah, true, low key." Yeah, I had played at Hancho like a couple of weeks before that, which is another festival that I'm like super in love with its whole ethos and just a general fan of, and like super blessed to be able to play for the first time last year. I mean, that was another just super amazing, great experience. I mean, I would go to that, festival, even if it's not to play. Like, it's like, yeah, it's something it's something I truly love. So it was super cool to be able to like also, just be a small part in like something that like is so meaningful to me. So that was really fun.
Did it rain during your set? Or okay.
So it was giving me like music video. I loved it. It rained during my set. So me and Blaze, shout out Blaze, aka Scar, on Instagram. Yeah. We played it back to back for our set. It was on Thursday night, one of the first nights in Hemlock. And
you set the bar for the festival.
Right.
Yeah.
It was it was fun. I don't know. I had a great time. I always listen back to that set. And it was cool because it's like, a lot of my sets, like, are super like meticulous and thought out and like super like trying to impress myself, but as well as impress like, I don't know, whatever. And the cool thing about that set that I love is like that it was such a collaborative effort between me and Blaze, and also just fun. Like we weren't trying to prove that we knew this cool, weird music. We just had a lot of this amazing music that we loved, that playing that was super, super duper fun. And yeah, you were there. It was really cool to kind of share that experience. And that's the thing about Hancho too. It's like, aside from, yes, amazing music the entire time, it's the living in this kind of world for a couple days where, you know, it's all about care and love and like
deepening community.
I
definitely
like
felt that because, like, you know, one of the reasons why I started this was to have this podcast, was to have like conversations outside of the club space and like learn about each other. But like Hancho is great for that because you're literally just in nature. You barely have cell phone reception.
Right.
And like you're able to build relationships. So.
Yep, and you gotta go take a piss in the woods if you have to, and if you don't got butt wipes, what are you gonna do? And like it's the whole thing, and yeah, it's amazing. Like, and then you're like around all these other people that are just like minded, and like also new to being in nature a lot of the time. I was part of the Queer Fam Fund, and it's like, you know, I went for the first time, and I was like, cool.
Was
so
that your
first
time going?
When I played? No, that was the second time I went. I was in Queer Fam Fund the first time. Second time I came back as an artist, which is super dope. And I'm
that happened for a lot of people, like ASL Princess.
Yeah,
like people that I was partying
That's
with.
the reason. Yeah. That's the reason we were playing back to back. And shout out to Honey, who put that together. Just the Queer Fam Fund folks. Don't go camping, dude. Like that's like a white rich thing you do growing up. Like it's like going skiing, and you know, being
even
able to
culturally too.
Even culturally,
like,
I'm like,
I grew up in upstate, and we never went camping.
I am Dominican, man. Like I am either on the beach or like not dealing with this. I'll tell you that. But super dope to get into it, and it's so crazy. Like going one year and then going the next year and all you learn and stuff. So super.
You had a sick setup too. It was like, it felt like I was in like a Diaz house or something. Like the way you guys had the chairs.
Oh yeah. We had like a little sala moment this last year. Yeah, it was
cute.
like, and the speakers, you know, because the first time we went, it was like, okay, kind of suffered. I was like, okay, whoa, this nature shit is crazy.
Yeah.
But second year, fab, and like now, hopefully, if I go this year, definitely step it up.
Yeah,
even more.
So yeah, we talked about a few people like Sakuchi, Scar, ASL Princess, all these people. Like you've obviously been in New York for a while. You've been DJing for some time, but like I love seeing people that we're just partying with on the dance floor and sharing space, like step up and like now play these festivals and stuff like that. What are your thoughts around that, around community and like just people being able to do that? Like I feel like it's
so my main thing with the whole like just in general is that like I'm a party goer person first before I am like, you know, a artist with a super crazy point of view that I need to share with the world. A lot of the best times I've ever had in my life has been with friends on the dance floor or just chilling or vibing or whatever. So it's cool when you make these friends on these dance floors and then you kind of build like what is like a family with them, and it's like, you know, all based around the love of either music or like common interests. It's super dope to get into that. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
no, it wasn't. It was like a weird question, but yeah, I mean, I was just commenting on the fact that I just love to see it. I love to see like us lift each other up and just like,
absolutely.
Yeah,
but
it's
like,
beautiful.
I'm like, there's nothing better than like, you know, an artist like working on their craft, right? Working on something that they're super proud of, and then sharing it out with the world, and then having that be received by a person or by anything, but just received in general, and it being received well. And like I'm a big into like listening to literally everything that's out, and just like I'm big also on like not critiquing things negatively. Like that doesn't make sense to me, at least in from an artistic perspective, because every art is different and right in its own way. So, I mean, not that bad stuff's not bad, because there's bad shit out there.
That actually, I was thinking about this as a question I was curious about, was like, I mean, how much does your identity come into like your sets? I mean, obviously, a lot. Like you have a lot of influences, New Yorker.
No. So my queerness is into kind of every aspect of my life in a weird way. I don't know. It's just like I love faggy cunty shit, and then at the same time, I maybe don't present as that as often, but like that's also part of me, and like also kind of bring that into my music as well. And it's like I'm not only like gay pop girl guy, or because like. And like that's what I kind of try to bring into my sets. It's just like a lot of like, yes, I'm multifaceted. Yes, I have a lot of different influences. Yes, I love pop music too. That's fine. But I also like love interesting, cool, innovative dance music and production and like expressions of art. And like if I can do that with my art form, which is picking other people's music and playing it, I'm gonna do that. And that's like kind of how I think about putting together almost a lot of the sets that I have a lot of control over. That's kind of how I do it. It's just like cool, like I'm into this like weird, random, obscure, dark shit, but I'm also like into this other stuff that's like feels me as well, and meshing that together is kind of one of my favorite things about it.
So do you like, obviously you get hired to play a gig and you like there's an assignment or whatever, but like how much of that do you let take over? Do you like you're having like a bad night or you're having a great night? Like how much of these like external things kind of play into what we hear?
No, so always depending on the night, I'm gonna give you what you're there for. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna play studio at basement and play merengue music, you know what I mean? But like a lot of it is what I feel like makes sense for the room, and like that's kind of what I feel like getting booked for places is about. It's like your version of what makes sense for a space and for a party, for a moment, whatever, and kind of figuring out what that is sonically is a challenge, but it's also like one of the fun parts about DJing. Like I can play music that's like by this random European guy that does like crazy hard group music, but like I feel like when I play it, it sounds like it's Latino. It's mostly because I use Latin instruments and they fucking sound like Latin people. But like it kind of works out into the kind of narrative that I'm painting with whatever like set I'm working on or whatever. But yeah, it's kind of using kind of this like art that people do themselves and like kind of using that as a form to express yourself and express your kind of, I don't know, vibe. In a way that kind of makes it your own is really cool to me.
Are there any genres that you haven't quite explored yet? I mean, I kind of find it hard to, I feel like you've probably done everything.
I listen to everything. Like I'm telling you, like spend a lot of my days just like digging for stuff like ambiently. Like it's not even like searching for things. It's just like listening. I just love listening to like new stuff. I'm into like so many genres of music. And I kind of try to DJ a lot of different genres of music. I don't consider myself an open format DJ, but like I do like to get into some like more experimental stuff in one end, or like dive deep into kind of headier techno set or for something, and then there's also like more of the like club stuff that I love getting into. But I mean, I'm big into, and I was thinking about this as you were kind of brought this question up. I'm big into like a lot of two-step stuff and like London vibey stuff, UKG kind of things.
Hold on, is this?
I kind of like the vibe, but yeah, wait a second. You've reached the Afters After Hours mailbox. I'm probably out at the club or catching up on some sleep.
Hello. Hey, it's me, Luna. You know me, the fishiest girl in the sea, Luna La Serena. Mark your calendars because we are popping our pussies at pianos Thursday, May 23rd for my one-night takeover called Bass Jump, featuring sets by Record Low's Mafioso, DJ Failure, Miami Prince Dream, and myself, of course. 3 sets, 3 icons, 3 vibrations, 1 room, free all night. See you there.
Playground Coffee Shop welcomes you to our latest iteration, Playground Wines. Our expertly curated natural wine selection features ethically produced 00 cuvées from small batch vintners in France. On top of being delicious, these wines are an extension of Playground's ethos of community and love for the earth. We've extended our hours for late night service, Thursday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to midnight. So come grab a glass or a bottle at 1114 Bedford Ave, Brooklyn, New York, 11216.
Welcome back to Afters.
There's like a whole bunch of like cool like I don't know, UKG stuff that I'm a big fan of and have like a good amount of like fandom for, but kind of is hard to get on a New York dance floor all the time. Just depend on like the kind of stuff I get booked for and the kind of like gigs I'm playing. Like I feel like I've been doing like Latin parties, a ton of Latin parties recently, and I'm like, I can't play, Interplanetary Criminal here or something, stuff like that. But I mean, maybe I can, but yeah, maybe UKG two-step kind of breaky stuff like that.
I mean, you also have emo under your belt too.
Yeah, I mean, if you want an emo mix, we could make that happen.
You should play like the emo part. There's like a Bushwick.
Oh, yo, okay. So
that
first off, shout out to Happy Fun. Yes, shout out to Happy Fun and Luis. We used to do this.
Luis that was in LA now.
Luis Court as Zone. Yeah. On Instagram. We'd do indie night there, and that was super fun and refreshing because I feel like, a lot of parties are kind of like doing similar stuff, or like at least stuff I would go to all the time. So I would love to do that. And then an emo night would be so fab. I would kill that low key.
I just remembered the party you did with Alexis Delabey at Ludlow House. You guys, that set was incredible.
Yeah,
the LaRue remix.
Yeah, I played LaRue. Yes,
we were all losing it for that.
Yes. Oh my god, that was fun. Another party that I was just like, I just want to play stuff that I don't have to play a bossa, or stuff like that. So, a lot of times I don't play too many different things because it's just kind of not what's going to work for the crowd at the moment, but doesn't mean I'm not into it. Doesn't mean I don't stand it. Doesn't mean I wouldn't love to like work with it. Like one of my favorite parties I ever played, and it's mostly because it's like super different from the rest of the stuff I do often. It was like a slink party back in August. Yeah, super dope collective, super dope like kind of label and like kind of vein of music that I love deeply that I kind of can only kind of feel like do there or like in spaces like that.
Yeah. In terms of like a dream lineup, is there, if you could curate a night, DJs, artists, whatever you want, like who would be some people that you'd make a call for? Yeah, so I mean, I've been doing a lot of noodling on curating right now. I'm like working on a kind of party series at Bossa. But budget constraints kind of limits that a bit. But I would say if money wasn't a thing, I would book DJ Adonis, who's like this huge DJ in the Dominican Republic that is literally everywhere to play. But at the same time, like Juliana, just because it's like parts of my musical world that I'm just so fascinated by and like truly deeply respect. It's Juliana, of course. So that, and then like, I don't know, some of the greats, like with Larry Levine, who's like dead now, but like, kind of like the people that kind of made the music and like the vibe and stuff and the craft. So yeah,
my favorite artists, my favorite Dominican artists, and like some of the pioneers of the stuff for sure.
So you mentioned you're curating an event. Are there any like anything in the background you're working on, parties or?
Yeah. So mentioned this is kind of a little bit briefly, but yeah, I am working on a party. I've done it a couple of times, a couple of iterations of it. It's called Simpulso. It's basically kind of like my own thing, which is cool. I feel like I don't not own, but it's for everybody. But it's like, it's like a thing that's like me putting out to the world, which is cool. Yeah, it's the third time I do it. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. Just like the main part of it is just booking people I think are great and like not turning it into a specific thing, a specific sound, a specific kind of like I want the party to like, you go to it and like it could be anything, but that's fine. And like that's kind of how I approach music and like how I would approach like the artists that I get. But yeah, every other month or so at Blasa.
Awesome.
And
shout out again to Blasa.
Yeah, shout out to Blasa, shout out John. So I'm super excited about. It's like a project I've kind of done and like would have to like kind of put down for a bit because of work, but I'm unemployed right now, so like I can focus on like making art for it and making it worth it and kind of put some much needed energy into something that can be really cool. So yep, that's happening.
Cool. One thing that I really appreciate about you is that you are such a collaborator. Like you bring in, like you're always down to do back to back, and just like I think that's so awesome. So it's exciting to hear that you're doing this party. Is there any like, do you have your eyes on any kind of production or releases like on your own, or are you happy just like kind of playing live right now? Is there anything that you want to put out?
Oh yeah, so I'll just touch on collaborating real quick. I used to work at a creative agency until pretty recently, so like a lot of the way I like my creative process is with people. It's like working as a team, so like I love doing that and like working with other artists and like other folks, and that's just kind of how you see the coolest stuff come out into the world. So I love that, and I like love bringing that into what I'm doing. As far as am I going to get into production? I mean, I would love to. I feel like I'd be good at it, and I want to. That's the thing. But just like with any craft, I dive deep into it. When the time is right, something will come out. But I'm right now just focusing on DJing. But I mean, I have some friends that are like doing amazing stuff, and I'll definitely like work with them on the track and stuff if possible. I just know that if I'm gonna like dive into that, you won't see me for like 6 months. You will not see me for 6 months.
We won't see you in the clubs.
Literally. And I'm like, girl, I see you like every 2 days. So it's like...
And we see you and be like, what are you doing now?
Exactly. No, yeah. But love production. I'm super interested. Like I have the equipment for it. I know that I would love doing it. And I know that I have the ear for it because a lot of people don't.
I can picture the vinyl. I can picture the cover art.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to be an artist. And I am an artist in a different sense. And I might. You know what? Like, the year is still early, and I got some free time. But, yeah I'm just scared of, like, learning a whole nother thing. And, like, because that's hours and hours of tutorials, too. You know what I mean? Or like, and not that I'm, like, lazy about it. I'm just, like, I know how crazy I am. So, maybe in the future, maybe in the near future, we'll see. I'm down.
In terms of, like, back-to-backs that we talked about, collaboration and all these other things you have going on, is there anyone you haven't played with yet that you would like to go as wild with that answer as you want?
Yeah. It's funny because I feel like I've been only doing back-to-backs recently. It's like, well, which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing for the most part. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of back-to-backs. So like, I feel like I've learned what it's like to do it. When it works, when it hits, it hits. And sometimes it's like, yo, you want to do your own thing. But like a person that I... like love to back with either CCL or like physical therapy, like all other like
those
all over the
really
place.
Exciting.
Yeah. I'd like I'm physical therapy. Shout out to physical therapy. Another like big influence of mine is just like all over the place kind of DJs and like
Yeah, they both do.
CCL as well. They did it back to back together as well. That I freaking love. I missed that, but CCL was like one of the craziest sets I ever saw at Honcho. And then kind of Physical Therapy kills it almost every time I see him at his residency and nowadays. But yeah, super big inspirations for me. Also, like all over the place musically, which is like a big thing for me. So like, either of them would be like a great back to back for me. I just need to.
You heard it, CCL. You heard it, Daniel. Physical Therapy. That would, like you said, just the genres that you guys cover in your sets. That would be really
sick. I
sick.
mean, like Physical Therapy's whole thing is like all his NTS shows are basically like a different genre, which is so dope to me. And then one CCL set can have like 50 different genres in it and tempos and like BPMs and all, and that's super dope and like stuff I strive for. So hit me up if y'all are down.
Yes.
Daniel, I know you heard this.
Well, Sterling, this has been a lovely, amazing conversation, and it's exciting to kind of dig into your history and what kind of brought you to where you are now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. Is
Period.
there anything else that you want to plug or anything? Or?
I don't have much stuff to plug. I mean, I don't know. I'm not working. Hit me up for bookings, but
follow Sterling on Instagram.
Oh yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram, SoundCloud, Sterling Juan Diaz for everything. Sterling Juan Diaz. Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I love seeing you out, and also love you doing this stuff. It's so dope.
Oh, thank you so much.
For sure.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you.
This episode of Afters was produced, edited, directed by Anthony Cuellar, mastered by Rhino Clark, recorded by Tomas Skelly, original music by Nicolo Bernardi, show art by Waldo Baez. Afters was recorded in New York City with love. Stream Afters on your favorite podcast platform now. Be sure to follow Afters the Pod on SoundCloud for exclusive mixes from these conversations.